I got a call.
Okay. So is Josh on?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he is.
Okay. So it's 2:02 on Tuesday, January 12th. I'm calling the legislative session for the Board of County Commissioners to order. Let the record reflect that all three commissioners are present, and we do not have any strikes from the agenda today. So first item of business is to remove me from this pleasant job and play tag with Commissioner Kearns. So Commissioner Kearns, do you want to make the motion to nominate you, or do you want Commissioner Cooney to do that?
I'll be humble and let someone else nominate.
So I will do that. So Mr. Chair, I move to elect Josh Kearns as the chair of the Board of County Commissioners of Spokane County for calendar year 2021.
So not wanting to put Commissioner Kearns at any level of unease, I will second the motion. So now we start the debate. No, so all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect the motion passes unanimously. And now it's all yours, Commissioner Kearns. I'm done.
Okay, wow. All right. Next on our agenda, we have the election of the vice chair, Board of County Commissioners. Is there a motion?
So at the ease of Commissioner Cooney, I will make a motion to nominate Commissioner Cooney to serve as vice chair for the Board of County Commissioners for the calendar year 2021.
I will second that motion. Any discussion? Any airing of grievances? Anything?
Another peaceful transfer of power.
Any personal venting that you want, anything you want to get off your shoulders?
Yeah, speak now or forever hold your peace.
All right. No, I'm just kidding.
You need me to count the votes.
Nice.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. All right, that brings us next. We have items 3 and 4, including all 3, 4, and 5. Yes, 3, 4, and 5. I'm sorry. Adjournment is 6. Yeah. So we have items 3, 4, and 5. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve items 3, 4, and 5, and all sub-items under those categories for approval today.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve agenda items 3, 4, and 5, including all sub-items. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, that deals with everything on our printed agenda. We do have, and I don't know, since this is a new year, do we want to make another motion just to have the blanket authorization to use our stamps since it's a new calendar year? Just
The original motion was for the entire pandemic.
was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If we're covered, then we're good. Okay. That brings us to miscellaneous matters.
We have Ms. Wendell and Carol from SNAP are going to do a presentation. Then we can, if it's the pleasure of the chair, we'll cover other miscellaneous items if there are some. And then I have an executive session item that will take probably 15 minutes.
All right. Sounds good.
Is this the one we were talking about?
Okay,
It'll
are
probably be 15.
So good afternoon, Commissioners.
We'll extend.
Can you hear me? This is Cindy Wendell.
Yep, we
can hear you, Cindy.
Okay, perfect. I am now at my desk at the county, so I'm having fun trying to figure out my technology. So I'm sorry that my camera's not on, but I wanted to thank you all for inviting us to come present to you. This is part of hopefully an ongoing effort that we will be able to share more information about how the CARES dollars were funded in the community. So we can have an overall picture of how that was impacted by the recipients and the taxpayers. And this first one, we wanted to bring in SNAP to help kind of give you an overall viewpoint and information about the utility program that you invested in a little over $2.5 million in last year. And so I'm going to introduce Carol Welch with SNAP, and she's going to run you through her presentation.
Well, thank you, Carrie, and thank you for having me here again. You know, I got to tell you, this was kind of an exciting program. I don't usually get to do something where we start from design to all the way to finish to handing the checks. And so this one's been kind of fun for me. So our design of our program was really meant to see what we could do to meet the need of COVID in the community. Myself and Anna Matthews from Avista were chatting, and we heard about another design they had done in another area and thought we might be able to institute it here. We knew that there was a growing need and economic impacts from COVID in our community. And we knew this because we were looking at some of the data. We were seeing that people were, their late payments were twice as much as they normally were, and twice as many people had late payments. So as we were discussing all this, we were thinking, like, what can we do? And so we decided to talk with the other utilities in the county, you know, all 5 of them, you know, Vista, Inland, City of Cheney, Modern, Vera. And we talked about how we might be able to do this differently than how we've done it in the past. And so we came up with the collaborative to do a regional funding program and to try to do this a little differently than we've done in the past. Using utility data rather than doing the client approach. You know, normally we meet each client, we do an intake, you know, and from there create billing lists and send it to utility. Well, we wanted to take the data and we could show the need and just be able to try to bypass the effort on the client's part altogether, you know, because the data told us that they've been affected by this. So the eligibility, we determined they had to be a residential household, and they had to be at least 60 days past due. And the other piece of this is we wanted to try to serve people who hadn't been served with any other kind of utility assistance in 2020. So we were trying to reach that population who hadn't reached out for help before. And so one of the qualifications is they couldn't have received any kind of energy assistance in the year 2020. To implement this, you know, equity was a really big thing for us, making sure that the grant was the same across all the utilities, right? So, and so we figured we'd do this with a tiered approach. So all the utilities gave us their data for 60 days past due. And out of that, we created a tier of payments. And we tried to make the payments tiers, we'll show you in a few minutes on the grid, pretty close together so that the households would get the biggest payment. After we figured out the grid, the billing was submitted and we cut 5 checks. That was it, just 5 checks to 5 utilities. And they were hand delivered to the utilities by December 18th. So it was really fast and really efficient. And it was pretty exciting to carry that money to people. I got to tell you, a couple of the utility people were crying as I was handing over that check. I mean, we were doing this, it was right before Christmas. You know, we know that they struggle listening to all the stories of their customers who can't pay their bills, and to be able to hand them that check so that they could give this gift, you know, to be able to help people, was pretty powerful. The utilities all sent a letter to all the customers who received a grant explaining where it came from. And then all the utilities had to provide us an attestation that they delivered these grants to the customers. So that's our proof that we did what we said we were going to do. So in the end, we served 9,504 Spokane County households. I mean, that's an amazing amount of people for the time. And it was just over $2.7 million. Carrie, you want to take us to the next slide, please? So here's the breakdown if you want to look a little bit closer. It was kind of interesting when I came to you with the initial proposal and the initial ask. People kind of gave us an idea what they thought their past due was. But when we said as of December 1st, 2020, what was it? Those numbers had changed a little bit. So you can see here, like Inland had a little bit less and Modern had quite a bit more. Same with Vera. So it kind of changed. Vista had less. So we adjusted accordingly. And here's the grid I was talking about. If somebody owed $50 to $99, we just paid the whole amount. If they owed $100 to $200, we put a $100 credit on there. 201 to 350, we did 200, and it just goes up like this. So for each of these payment grid areas, that was the payment that they received. And if you look further down on here, you can tell how many for each utility received what. So when you look across the grid down below, you can see that the grant amount, this must be the old one. The grant amount 1962, you can see that there was just a few in inland, 2 in inland, and the total amount of dollars paid there. There was 10 of them in a Vista that received that amount, and that was the total. And the total. So you can track the totals across and down about who received what for grants. It was a very fast and efficient program, and pretty exciting to be a part of. Are there any questions I can answer for you? I can tell you that this would be a great way for us to serve water, garbage, sewer, or if there was more money for utility assistance later, these were great ways for us to get the money out quick and effectively, and an affordable way to get it out. So appreciate the opportunity to be able to serve our community and serve it this way, and your guys' generosity to make that happen.
Nice job.
That,
Yeah, very good job.
yeah, thank you very much for everything you and Snap did. I see several hands up. So Commissioner CUNY?
So Carol, one question, just because today on our agenda, we are waiving, for our sewer customers, interest and penalties, for the next 3 months. Did those amounts include interest and penalties, or did some of these utilities waive those with COVID?
Well, with the moratorium on the utilities, they can't charge any late fees or anything like that. So this was just straight usage.
Okay.
So that's one of the benefits of the moratorium right now is we don't have to pay any of those extra fees that sometimes might be attached to things.
Yeah, no, that's great. So then it was really just going straight to the people to help.
Yeah, and quickly. And, we're getting calls because the letters took a few days to come out after the payment was posted. And some people are like, where'd that money come from? So getting these calls like, who sent me money? So that's been pretty exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I see Vicky with her hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here as the chair of the board of SNAP, and I just want to say thank you to Carol for an amazing job, well done. As you all know, SNAP provides many, many services to this community, and throughout COVID, SNAP has stepped up over and over again to help the community out, including putting together programs like this with no additional people and with a huge amount of creativity, with great benefit to the community. So, folks at SNAP like Carol are people who truly care about the community and then go out there and get it done. So thank you to Cindy Wendell for being here and helping out, keeping us on track. But I just want to express my appreciation to Carol and to Spokane County for really helping this community survive through COVID.
Thanks, Vicki.
Very good.
Yeah, nice job.
And no.
Yep, Commissioner CUNY?
So another question. So I don't know, Carol, if you know the answers, but on the rental assistance grant that came through Spokane County to SNAP, because that was the other big one that happened. And we just had we didn't hear anything back from SNAP that, kind of where we were on that program. Do you know if you have information on that, or is that something we need to get from somebody else?
Well, I do. That's my program too. So that has been another dynamo of a program. Actually, I think amendment sitting for you guys to sign off on. So we spent all of the money that you originally gave us, and then asked for an amendment, and they were going to transfer some money back out of their administration. And I think we have $300,000 left of 5.9 million to spend. So it's been really again, another fast-paced That's one that we did our online applications, which was a really effective way to do that. We were able to deliver that a lot more effective than we normally would be able to. And that was one where we could work with landlords too. We found that when the landlord would partner up with the tenant, that we got a much better application that was able to be processed. It actually almost 2 to 1. If we had to do directly with the client, there was lots of things that had to keep being fixed. But when we could deal directly with the landlord, we found that the files were cleaner and went through cleaner. So it's been a really effective program. It's another one that I could see us getting a lot more money out very quickly. We got that money out in, I don't think we started spending until like November 1st or something. So just a ton of money out the door helping our community. And we've closed that waiting list, but I still have 1,300 people on that waiting list. And it's an easy one to open back up and get moving very quickly.
Okay. Commissioner French?
So we are supposed to be getting a direct allocation out of this latest assistance package and stuff. So I'm sure that we're going to be circling back with you about more assistance from housing standpoint. Anything that you've learned out of the last couple sessions that you would change, or anything that we should be aware of that we should do differently that would make this better for you?
Yeah, actually, it's actually pretty effective. The way it came down, I appreciated the fact that people could self-certify when they needed to. That was a big help, especially because things are so rocky for people. They're not able to get out and get all the documentation they needed. So that was a big deal. I don't think there was any real hitches. I think in the reporting, we could do a better job in making sure of, what area it is to give you information to look at later, right? So if we would have known we needed that at the beginning, we would have done that a little bit different. So because I'm having to go backtrack now a little bit, but actually it was a pretty effective way. Oh, the thing that did get in the way is they held half of the money, right? So they only released half of the money until we got to that, and then they released the second half. Well, we sat for about 3 weeks before they, by the time we got it all in the computer and through, we had about a 3-week waiting period when we could have continued to get money out, and people were waiting. And so whenever we have to wait like that, what it means is that people are calling us all the time. When is the check coming? When's it coming? The landlord's calling, the tenant's calling. And all we can say is, we have to wait for the money to drop, right? When money drops, we can get the money out. We can't do it before then. So probably that's the only really big thing that we hit up against.
Thank you.
Commissioner, this is Carrie Gritnall. I just wanted to kind of update you guys that we did file on behalf of Spokane County on Friday. We still don't know the amount. They changed the rules a little bit on this legislation. They're a little bit more restrictive about who can get the money. So rather than what the CARES money, it was kind of like we didn't have the HUD restrictions that were on some of the other funds that came in. They really have identified who can apply for this money and who cannot. The money needs to go directly to the landlord or to the utility company. There's still a lot of questions. We don't know. I was hoping to have some information for you today about the amount exactly. All we know right now is the amount that they awarded to the state in total, which is $510 million. We don't know out of that 510, they haven't really indicated the formula. We know what our population base is, but we don't know how they're basing the actual amount. Both the city of Spokane and Spokane County are in line to receive this funding. They dropped down the population level to 200,000 from the 500,000 level that they had for CARES dollars. So both the city and the county will be getting an allocation of the emergency rental assistance. So as soon as I hear how much it is, I'll keep you guys updated. The other issue that we're all trying to discover, and I haven't been involved with a number of conference calls to try to find this out, is there's 5 areas that this money can be used: current rental assistance, past rental arrears, current utility assistance, and past arrears, and then anything else that the secretary deems as appropriate. What we're trying to find out is if it covers mortgage assistance. I know Commissioner CUNY has been interested in finding that question out. We don't know that yet. We don't know what the arrears period goes. Does it go back to March 1 with the time that they called the emergency, or is it only from the date that the bill was signed? So we're trying to get a lot of this information for in order to have a better idea, but they really have set the parameters of actually who can apply for the funding. And then also they've set up who has the priority on this. Apparently HUD is going to be the agency that's going to oversee and monitor how we have allocated this money. So I'll keep you guys updated as further information comes along, but that's all we know. We do know it'll be a direct deposit to our account before January 20th, just like they did on the CARES money, but we honestly do not know the amount at this point.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. All right, any additional discussion or questions? All right, well, thank you all very much. Cindy, Carol, and and we lost Carrie, but thank you to Carrie again for everything she has done. But yeah, Cindy and Carol, thank you so much for everything that that you did to make this a success. I believe we saw for Commissioner French and CUNY, I believe we saw the press release that Jared sent out today. Is that correct, Jared? Did that go out today?
There were two that went out today.
Okay.
The one on the CDBG funds that you guys voted on during the consent agenda aimed at utility rent assistance, and then a recap of what Carol just provided.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, thank you to everybody that was involved with this big impact on the community for sure. So,
Thank you.
okay. All right. Next on our agenda, Jerry, did you say it was a executive session item?
It is, Mr. Chair. It's on the performance of a public employee, and I think it'll be 20 minutes?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Okay. All right. Okay. For the record, we'll be going into executive session. It is 2:23. We'll be in executive session for 30 minutes to discuss the performance of a public employee. Those present will be all three commissioners, our executive management team, as well as Mr. James Amacio. No decisions are scheduled to be made in executive session.
Are you gonna adjourn after that or come back?
Should we just leave it open in case we need to come out and discuss anything else, or do you want to adjourn as soon as we're done?
It's going to be here.
I'd adjourn as soon as we're done. I don't, there's
Okay.
nothing else.
Okay. All right. Then we will not be coming out of executive session when we reach the 30 minutes, and we'll be adjourned thereafter.
I'm good. I am.